Om Sai Ram. We will now read chapter 5 of the Sai Satcharitra. The return with Chand Patil's marriage party. As hinted in the last chapter, I shall now describe first how Sai Baba returned to Shirdi after his disappearance. There lived in Aurangabad district in a village called Dhoop a well-to-do Mohammedan gentleman by the name of Chand Patil. While he was making a trip to Aurangabad, he lost his mare. For 2 long months he made a diligent search but could get no trace of the lost mare. After being disappointed, he returned from Aurangabad with the saddle on his back. After travelling 4 course and a half, he came on the way to a mango tree at the foot of which sat a fakir. He had a cap on his head, wore a long robe kafni, and had a satka, a short stick, under his arm, and he was preparing to smoke a chilam pipe. On seeing Chand Patil pass by, he called out to him and asked him to have a smoke and to rest a little. The queer fellow or fakir asked him about the saddle. Chand Patil replied that it was of his mare, which was lost some time back. The fakir asked him to make a search in the Nala close by. He went, and the wonder of wonders, he found the mare there. He thought that this fakir was not an ordinary man but an avalya, a great saint. He returned to the fakir with the mare. The chillum was ready for being smoked, but two things were wanting: one, fire to light the pipe, and two, water to wet the chapi, the piece of cloth through which the smoke is drawn up. The fakir took his prong and thrust it forcibly into the ground, and out came a live ember, which he put on the pipe. Then he dashed the satka on the ground from where water began to ooze. The chapi was wetted with that water, then wrung out and wrapped around the pipe. Thus, everything being complete, the fakir smoked the chillum and then gave it also to Chand Patil. On seeing all this, Chand Patil was wonderstruck. He requested the fakir to come to his home and accept his hospitality. Next day, he went to Chand Patil's house and stayed there for some time. Patil was a village officer of Dhoop. His wife's brother's son was to be married, and the bride was from Shirdi. So Patil made preparations to start for Shirdi for the marriage. The fakir also accompanied the marriage party. The marriage went off without any hitch. The party returned to Dhoop, except the fakir, who stayed back in Shirdi and remained there forever. Sairam. So, this is the story of how Shirdi Sai Baba came to Shirdi and, as he said, stayed there forever, which is so true because Baba very much resides there even now. Everybody who goes there comes back with an experience of truly feeling like they were in Baba's presence. And of course, Baba and any Satguru is omnipresent. However, the feeling of his presence at Shirdi is palpable to say the least. And as we read this chapter, hear this chapter, one can't help but be wonderstruck by how lucky Chand Patil was, what he must have done in his past lives to get this grace and this experience and this closeness with Baba. One prays to the divine that if we are ever lucky enough to be in the presence of a Satguru, of the divine himself, that we are wise enough to recognize him, to invite him into our lives, into our hearts, and to surrender to him completely. We will take up the next story in this chapter in the next video. Sai Ram.